Welcome to another episode of The Good Listening To Show, your life and times with me, Chris Grimes. The storytelling show that features The Clearing, where all good questions come to get asked and all good stories come to be told. And where all my guests have two things in common. They're all creative individuals and all with an interesting story to tell. There are some lovely storytelling metaphors. A clearing, a tree, a juicy storytelling exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, some alchemy, some gold, a cheeky bit of Shakespeare, and a cake. So it's all to play for. So yes, welcome to The Good Listening To Show, your life and times with me, Chris Grimes. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we shall begin. Woohoo! So, marvellous, marvellous, marvellous. Thank you so much. So welcome, thrice and quadruple welcome. This is the second of two shows on the trot, if you'll pardon that particular expression, here at the Bath Theatre Royal Ustinov Studio. And welcome on Facebook and YouTube and Facebook, whichever one is coming through that portal. There will be several sheep and a stoat at home enjoying this as we joined by thousands of people here at the Bath Theatre Royal. So just to remind us all, this is the show in which I invite movers, makers, shakers, mavericks, influencers, and also personal heroes into an energetic space called The Clearing, from where the rest of the storyscape unpacks. And that my guests come along to tell their stories of distinction and ingenious. And she is ingenious. And ladies and gentlemen, if I could ask you to give a really warm hand on my wonderful guest this evening, award-winning actress Rosie Cavaliero. Welcome. Lovely. And you are defying the laws of physics by being here, because whilst you're talking to me, you've also gone live this very evening on BBC One with your new series, which is The Power of Parker, please.
Yes.
You're very welcome, Rosie, and I've charged your water glass.
Thank you.
You're all good to go.
Thank you so much.
So, how's morale? When I first spoke to you last week, you said your son had gone on a school trip to Morocco.
Yes, he went on a school trip to Morocco and had no mobile phone or any device for 8 days. Had a complete detox. He's 14. And he came back and went, it was great. I loved it. Yeah, we chatted, we played cards, and then he got on his phone out, and of course...
Oh, it's gone...
Yeah, it was back on it immediately. It's like crack, isn't it? But yeah, he had a great time. He had a great time. I was a bit worried because I started watching that show Hijack when he was on the plane. I thought that wasn't a good idea. But yeah, no, he had a fantastic time.
But it must be quite a nice school, because obviously most school trips are like Go Ape in Swindon or something, whereas you've gone to Morocco.
It's a thing called World Challenge, and they go into schools. He's just at Corsham, the Corsham school. Which is just it's not a private school or anything. Yeah. But yeah, they come in and do these trips and.
Very good.
Fantastic.
And so he tuned into the detox, liked it, and then he's gone straight back into the vortex now.
Yeah, back in the vortex, yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed researching you, by the way. I know you know who you are, but you are Rosalind Cecilia Cavaliero.
What a name. I know.
You were born in Brazil, you lived in Rome for a time, now you're in Corsham.
Yeah.
So a bit like Go Ape in Swindon. It's still a lovely place to live, obviously, and I'm sure Go Ape is lovely too. Yeah. But I'm gathering it's because we share something in common. Yeah. My father also worked for the British Council.
Oh, why did you save that to tell me now?
Well, I only found it out earlier on today that's why you moved all those places.
Where was your father?
Well, it's not about me. This is your
I love a British Council.
Well, my dad was a teacher for the British Council and went to live in Uganda with all of us. And between my being 2.5 and 10, I lived in Uganda.
How amazing.
And a very surreal thing was I was best friends in Uganda with Adrian Edmondson's two younger brothers.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's a small world that wouldn't want to hoover
extraordinary. His father wasn't British Council?
His dad is called Fred Edmondson.
Yeah.
I'm just name dropping.
Yeah.
I know Adrian Edmondson's father.
Yeah.
Yes. Fred Edmondson. Fred and Dorothy Edmondson.
Oh, right.
And it was Matt and Alistair, just to prove that I'm not making this stuff up.
How brilliant, you're in Uganda. How amazing.
Yeah, so I left when I was 10 after Idi Amin overthrew Milton Obote.
Oh,
I'm aging
wow.
myself.
So historical. And where did you end up after? Where did you go after?
We went back to
I like to do this.
No, you're very good. I like it. Well, we went back to Middlesbrough. I was born
Yeah.
in Saltburn near Redcar.
Oh, so you went back there, because I was born in Brazil and we lived in Rome, and previously to that my parents lived in India, and we ended up in Tunbridge Wells. So I always have to go, I'm from Tunbridge Wells, but I was born in Brazil.
The Tunbridge Wells is a bit like the Raj, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is. Yes, exactly. It's very colonial. Yeah.
Yeah, so you've moved around. That's why you're in Rome,
Yeah.
I'm assuming. And what was your dad doing?
So my dad was I'm a British Council child. He would work for the British Council, basically, and he lived in lots of different countries. He was the rep, and he ended up actually being the the Deputy Director General of the British Council. So he did really well.
Glitterati.
And it was, he was a really interesting job. And my partner's best friend worked for the British Council too. He's called Alan. And he was,
Alan, right.
Alan Smart. But yeah, he's had such an interesting career too, because he's lived all around the world.
And by the way, another connection that immediately made me like you even more is you share the same birthday as my daughter Lily, who's in the audience
27th of November? Sagittarius.
Sagittarius.
Yeah,
yes, so I liked you even more for that too. Also, your first role, I know you know this, and maybe you'll get on the open road, but I'm proving I've done some research here. Your first role was age 6 in Hansel and Gretel.
Yes, I played the mother, and I had to... I always played old ladies. When I was young, I only ever played old ladies. Like when I was at drama school, I only played old ladies. I was like, can I play, an age-appropriate role? Please, we've got agents in. No, you're going to play Mrs. Bennet in Pride and Prejudice. And I was the mother in Hansel and Gretel, yes. So I never got the leading roles, but, always a supporting role.
And you've grown up with a very healthy obsession, lifelong, with the sound of music, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Where'd you get... Yes, I am obsessed with the sound of music, yeah.
And you're often seen in a nun's outfit.
Yeah. No, I once went to a live, one of those sing-alongs, dressed as a nun. Yeah,
Not Rocky Horror, but sound of music.
No, it was just a friend's birthday, and we all went and sang along.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's quite a strange night, but yeah.
Wonderful. Talking of strange nights, here we are. Hurrah! Yeah. And you're very, very welcome to the clearing.
Thank
and we'll
you
get
so
on the
much.
open road soon. And you were actually passed a golden baton to me by Julia Davis, actually.
Yes, the brilliant Julia Davis.
It was Hunderby.
Hunderby. Right? I did Hunderby, yeah.
Hunderby, yes.
Yeah, she's a genius. Do any of you know her work? She did Nighty Night, Hunderby. She did a thing called Sally Forever. She did, was it Human Remains? Lots of stuff. Yeah, she's absolutely brilliant, yeah. So Julia rang me up and said, my great friend Chris, I've known him for years, he's wonderful, he's brilliant, he's doing this podcast. Will you do it? And I went, yeah, this was about 6 months ago. I went, yeah, that'd be fine. And then as it's got nearer and nearer to the date, I've got more and more scared. But yeah.
But thank you for saying yes immediately, because there was,
Well, Julia's got very good taste.
Oh, wonderful. Well, you come highly recommended from her too. She raves about you in a really good way. So, do you want to just talk about The Power of Parker, which is happening tonight?
So it's for BBC One. It's a comedy. It's called The Power of Parker, and it's written by Sean Gibson and Paul Coleman, who wrote Car Share. And it's very funny. It's set in Stockport. It's set in 1990, so it's like back to that era. So there's loads of 80s music, great costumes, and it's a really, really great role for me. It's just a really juicy, funny, brilliant role. I just love playing it, and nice to have a sort of lead role, for a change.
It's sort of a three-hander.
It's sort of three-hander, but there's a brilliant cast. There's sort of Conrad Hill. I don't know if you know Conrad, brilliant actor. He plays Martin Parker. I play his wife. Sean plays his lover. And there's brilliant people like George Costigan in it, and Steve Pemberton, and Sheila Reid, and Judith Barker, loads of brilliant actors. So it was a real dream. I hope it's all on iPlayer now if you fancy binging it at some point or watching it. It is very funny. It's very northern, and it's quite nostalgic, and it's warm-hearted, and it's great characters.
And set in Stockport.
And it's pre-Me Too, it's pre-digital, set in Stockport. So it's the time, no one had phones or the internet. So it's about a guy leading a double life, and how people could do it more easily then, because of we didn't have all this technology to make us be able to find.
It's a nightmare running a second family. It really is.
But there's so many people. You hear all these stories of people doing it.
Yes, extraordinarily.
It's extraordinary.
Yes.
I know. Even nowadays.
Yeah, cool.
I know.
By the way, you were also on the One Show this very Tuesday, and I got extra excited.
I wasn't very good. I was very nervous, and I was sort of babbling, and it wasn't. I didn't feel it went that well, but anyway, doesn't matter. I'm going to go by Neil Malarkey and just go. Doesn't matter. Moving on. You make the yeah.
He was the previous guest this evening,
yeah,
just to give
exactly.
context.
Oh, sorry if you didn't see
If these
him.
get
Yeah.
broadcast at different times.
Yes, of course.
Remember,
yes,
we're doing two
of
on the trot, and we've
course,
saved the
of
best
course,
till last,
yes.
if I may say so.
Yes. Thank you.
So it's my great joy, delight and pleasure to curate you through the journey of the Good Listening To show. So it's all your best, favourite, lovely storytelling metaphors: clearing tree, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, alchemy, gold, couple of random squirrels, a cheeky bit of Shakespeare, a golden pattern and a cake. Sorry, you don't have to clap, that's just me. Phew, I remembered it again, that's great. So let's get you on the open road then, and there'll be a deliberate invitation to find out where we can find out all about you later on. And I know that you're quite shy on the old interweb, so that's a good thing. So what is a clearing for Rosie or Rosalind Cecilia Cavaliero?
Well, I really love Pembrokeshire. I don't know if any of you know it. It's just such a beautiful place. And we've started going there in the last few years. And I just love coastal walking, you know, the coastal path. And I just think Pembrokeshire is just endlessly beautiful. And I love going there, and I'm hopefully going to go there in a few weeks. So that's my place. And I think I just love a coastal path because you can walk one way and have one view and walk back and have another view. So you don't have to do a big sort of circular loop.
Like stairs, they go up and down as well. So.
But what's so lovely is I just think, you know, I was thinking about what Neil was saying earlier about walking. What was the thing he used about going for a walk? Everything
if in
feels
doubt,
better.
walk it out.
And I do think, you know, just putting one foot in front of another, if you're feeling a bit down, a bit angsty, it does really help. So that's mine.
So is it on the cliff of the Pembrokeshire walk?
Just any part. Where we like to go is that sort of bit between St David's and sort of Fishguard, that kind of Mathry and places like that. But I mean, all of it's beautiful.
And I love how you say it's where we go. So your happy place is where the
yeah, with my family. Yeah.
And how big is the squad when you're all together? Is it 4 or 3?
There's me, my son, and Rob, and then Rob also has a son, Charlie, who's he's 25. So he has come, but he's off living his own life now, so he doesn't come away with us so much.
So if I may, I'm going to not interfere, I mean, I'll interrupt, sorry, was what I'm trying to say, and interfere by being a bit too loud. I'm going to arrive with a tree, existentially, to shake your tree to see which storytelling apples fall out. Do you want to hold an apple? How do you like those apples?
Yes.
And I said to Neil Larkey, don't eat it, because it's a comedy prop.
Light, yeah.
It is quite good, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's quite,
I like it.
Yes, it's quite Sleeping Beauty-esque.
Yeah.
So we're going to now do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you've had 5 minutes to have thought about 4 things that have shaped you, 3 things that inspire you, 2 things that never fail to grab your attention, squirrel, and then the quirky or unusual fact about you, Rosie, that we couldn't know until you tell us. So over to you to interpret the shaking of your canopy as you see fit.
Right, so, well, I'd say, obviously, I'm going to start with family, my parents. You know, my dad, I've already talked about British Council. And I grew up in a big family. There were 5 of us. So I would say they shaped me. My parents, definitely. Both my parents were very clever. You know, they were both came from immigrant stock.
You were born in Brazil?
Born in Brazil, but that's because my dad's job sent him there.
Sure.
But they both sort of, mum's side were Irish, but grew up in Lancashire. Dad was English, but sort of his grandfather had come over as a French-speaking Algerian.
Right.
In the 1880s, and settled in East London. He was actually Jewish, but didn't tell anyone he was Jewish. I don't think we only really found out relatively recently. Anyway, so and then he met someone and had 5 sons, and they all grew up to be very English, and they all fought in World War I and survived, which is incredible.
Yeah. Did it make your family swim back to a previous faith when you found that out, or no faith, maybe, or human?
Well, not really. No, they were all quite sort of C of E. My dad became a Catholic because my mother was a very strict Catholic.
Yeah.
And my father became a Catholic. He did become a Catholic before they met, but I think he became a Catholic because apparently the pretty girls were at the Catholic chaplaincy at Oxford, because they met at Oxford University, and that's where they met.
Yes.
So my mum was doing PPE, my dad was doing history. And so they were very interested in culture, my parents.
Did you say your mum was doing PPE?
Yeah.
Is that the stuff for the pandemic, wasn't it? She's ahead of the game.
Yeah, philosophy, politics and economics.
Of course.
And then she was an economics teacher and politics teacher later on. But yes, so growing up with them was very, you know, they were really interested in music and art and books and everything. And so I grew up in a very sort of cultured house.
Yes. Have your brothers and sisters gone into my brother's really into the arts, but he doesn't work in the arts. My sister is an artist, but she's also an art therapist. And my other sister is a curator
And then my other sister worked for a charity for a long time, and then she worked for a hospital. But they're all very, we're all very interested in it. And,
You were talking about your mum and dad in the past tense. Are they still with us?
no, they died. Yeah, my dad died. My mum died 15 years ago, and my dad died 5 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, so we're into the next thing that
Yes.
shaped you, or any other depth you want to go in the
No,
five?
just that was. Oh, and then what I was going to say after resulting from that was that. So obviously, I think the next thing is that living abroad as a child, I think, definitely shaped me. So obviously, I can't really remember Brazil, but because I was only about 2 when we left. But we then had the posting in Rome, which was wonderful. I was about 8 when I went there, and that was just. I went to school in Rome, not an Italian school, an international school, but it really just changed my life. And that's when I started getting into. Theatre and plays and operas and stuff, because Dad's work, we'd always be having actors coming over and shows coming over that he'd be hosting, and musicians and poets and
Commedia dell'arte being the sort of Italian.
People coming to the flat where we were. It was just full of artists coming in and out. So that was fascinating, and we went to I remember we went to this opera festival. It was called the Barger Opera Festival, and the woman said, well, if you can camp in the garden, then you can come to all the shows. So we pitched the tent up in the garden of her house, and we went to see all the brilliant operas. And that's when I got obsessed with observing the singers, but as themselves, not as when they were on stage. I was just totally intoxicated by the romance of them. And they said you can come and watch the dress rehearsals, and I used to sit in the theatre and watch them doing the dress rehearsals, and I just used to love seeing them coming in and out of character and stopping. And I was totally hooked.
Do you sing as well?
I do sing, but not operatic. My niece is an opera singer, Anna Cavaliero. She's a fantastic opera singer, and she's doing incredibly well at the moment. She's touring and doing all sorts of stuff, and I think definitely, she had a massive.
Your surname does sound really either Brazilian or Italian.
It's great. It's a great opera singer name.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. But you said your parents were English and Irish, so I wondered how you ended up with Cavaliero.
Well, the Algerian.
Sorry.
French-speaking Algerian, we think that his family goes right back to originally sort of northern Italy. Yeah. The Sephardic Jews that were sort of in northern Italy, and then I think a lot of the families went down through Italy and then were in Greece, and then Algeria. So I don't know the full details.
Very exotic. Do you have a dual citizenship? Are you
no?
Brazilian passport?
I think I could have one because I'm born in Brazil, but I don't. I don't really feel a need.
No. You could because you can, but you don't need to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So 3 things that have either something else in the shaping.
The shaping was I was going to say telly, because I love telly and always loved telly, and as a child it kind of ruled my life, and it kind of still does. But yeah, I absolutely loved telly, and that informed me.
And by the way, the TV roles you have done are very, very fulsome indeed. They're loads of sort of bangers of telly. There's French and Saunders. You've worked with, obviously, Alan Partridge in Mid-Morning Matters, Catherine Tate Show, Little Dorrit, Jane Eyre. So loving it, it's pulled you towards it, and you're very successful within it. Yeah,
I feel very lucky. I mean, it's not always been easy. I mean, it took me a while to get going, but it's always a struggle. It's never easy. There's always rejection around the corner. But I have been really, really lucky with some of the jobs I've had.
And by the way, in researching you, one of the parts that I know you did fantastically well, which made complete sense to me because of who you reminded me of, was playing the nurse in Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, on the radio.
But I just think of you as being a sort of natural successor to Pat Hayward, who played the nurse in the Franco Zeffirelli film, which got me through my O-level back in the day.
That's a brilliant film.
Because I saw that film and then I totally understood.
Did you see that Olivia Hussey and that Robert Whiting have now come forward and said that they had an awful time on that film?
Oh, I didn't. I know. Yes.
Yeah, and Zeffirelli was horrible to them. Did you read that? I know, and I thought, because it shattered my... Because I loved that film. Yeah,
me too. And I bumped into John McHenry, who played Mercutio in a juice bar in Cottam in Bristol.
As you do.
As you do.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting next to him, hello, you got me through my O-level. So it was a wonderful conversation. Yeah. And in fact, I thought of interviewing him, but then tragically he died about 3 years ago.
Oh, what a shame. That was a great film. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just a part that I thought would really suit you, as in, I'd cast you as the nurse.
I don't know if I'd want to... I did enjoy doing it on the radio, but I don't know if... I find Shakespeare a bit frightening, and also some of the female roles in Shakespeare, as you get older, aren't that great. They're great when you're young, but but now, of course, women are playing men are playing women. But I I don't know if I'd want to do the nurse. I don't know. It's just a bit of a. It's just a bit of a buffoon character, isn't it? Really, she doesn't really have an emotional journey.
I remember learning the words that I haven't thought of for a while, but garrulous and loquacious, because of Matthew in study notes about the nurse.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, that's me going down my own rabbit hole. Sorry about that. So this is to get us out of any rabbit holes. That was my fault.
Yes.
Cashier number 4, please.
Yes.
So 3 things that inspire you now.
Well, I'm going to say writers, because obviously without writers, I can't do my job. And, they constantly inspire me. And I was very lucky when I went to quite an odd drama school. It's now closed, called the Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art. And I went there after I'd been to Manchester University and done a drama degree. And Manchester was, it was quite political, and we were always we were doing a lot of devising and improvising. And
that was Toby Jones' land as well,
I was the year below Toby, Okay. We read so many plays and really sort of studied. I'd read so many plays, and I really sort of learned about drama, and then went to the Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art.
I like the way you say it. I would say Central School of Screech and Trauma.
Is that where you went?
Well, I teach a degree. Central School of Screech and Trauma is how we then...
Yeah, trauma. Yeah, absolutely. And Webber Douglas was trauma. Yeah. I just did a postgraduate year, and it was very odd because I suddenly came from Manchester, where it was all quite, and then suddenly turned up at this. It was like a Swiss finishing school. It was just.
You came from Manchester.
And I was on the waiting list as well, so I was really neurotic. I thought, well, I'm on the waiting list. I'm probably not very good, but anyway, someone's dropped out. And then I got there and I thought, oh, it's not that good. And then lots of very sort of beautiful girls with sort of corkscrew curls, And then consequently I played all the old lady parts when I got there. But,
you're born to play that again.
Exactly. And then, it was all like walk with a straight back, and go like this, before you speak to centre yourself. And it was all like get rid of your accent. And it was all trying to sort of just make you really like a blank canvas. And I just thought, we all slightly rebelled against that, but that was kind of that was the style then. It was, you make yourself, everyone looked the same, everyone talked the same. Lose weight, I had to go and see the principal, and he would say things like, you're doing well, you just need to shed a few pounds, and,
Crikey,
and I came out, and then I remember there was a girl outside the office, have you had the weight chat? I said, yeah, sure. Oh, join the club, he does it to everyone. So, it was odd. But then while I was there, I made great friends. And then one of my great friends, she's called Charlotte Jones, she's a writer. And she was an actress, but then sensibly decided it was not for her. Not that she was brilliant, but she realised that came out wrong. She was brilliant. The life wasn't for her. And she realised what an amazing writer she was, because she wrote this brilliant play that we both did at the Battersea Arts Centre. It was a 2-hander called Air Swimming. And that really helped me,
It gave you a vehicle.
It gave me a showcase.
Did you say air swimming?
Air swimming, yeah. And I consequently worked with her again on a play called In Flame that we did at the Bush in the West End. And so meeting Charlotte, at drama school, and she's a brilliant writer. She's she's one of my favourite. Everything she writes is just fantastic. She's got a play coming out at Chichester next year. She's written for the National. She's written a play called Humble Boy. Anyway, meeting her was great because I met her we both met at this strange drama school, but. Thank God we did, because we worked together and we had a theatre company together and all that sort of stuff.
So writers is definitely an
writers, definitely,
thing. Inspiration number 2, please.
Young creative people I'm inspired by. I've been lucky enough to be working, the last few jobs with some really young people, and they just, I find them so interesting, and they seem to be interested in me, and I'm much older than them, and I look at my nieces who are all in the arts, like my niece who's the opera singer, and I've got another niece who's an actor and a director. I've got another niece who's a singer and musician. She was at Bath, my niece Ella, she was studying music at Bath Spa. Mm-hmm. And then I've got another niece who's working in sort of, wants to work in film and stuff. So I really admire them, that they're all trying to kind of get into this tough world, because it is a tough world.
Even more bewildering.
And so I'm just always impressed by people who still want to get into this creative business, because it's tough.
So are you finding yourself being a bit of a mentor to them as well? They look up to you, and
I don't know if they do, but I do love being with young people. I do love it.
Lovely inspiration.
Yes.
And then number 3.
Probably going to say just a really good film, really good theatre. When you go to the theatre and you just see something magical happen. I recently saw Phaedra at the National, and it was just mind-blowing. I don't know if any of you saw it. by a director called Simon. Is he called Simon Stone?
He could
Simon
be.
Stevens.
I didn't know that.
I don't know. Anyway, brilliant. So things like that you watch and you just go, oh my God, that's what I want. I want to work with him. I want to work in that way. Apparently he takes all the actors down to the pub and listens to the way they speak and how they interact with each other. And then he forms the play.
Wow.
He was doing Phaedra, a Greek tragedy, but they modernised it. And it was really brilliantly done. So she was like a successful woman, but menopausal, and about her sort of getting this infatuation with this young guy, which is the story of Phaedra. But brilliantly done. I really recommend it. It's on NT. You can watch it NT at home. So things like that, you kind of where you're just stuck to your seat in the theatre and you can't move and you can't breathe. It's quite rare to have that.
That is the thing. It is rare.
Yeah,
but
it is rare.
Magical when you find it.
But magical, yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So now
Yes,
that's
that's three.
Excellent. Well
Now it's
done.
grabs.
Excellent value. Now it's time for what are the two squirrels that never fail to grab your attention? Oh, there we go. There, it works seamlessly. Have a squirrel,
have a
madam.
squirrel.
So what are your monsters of scratching? What are your...
I love. Sorry.
I was going to say, let's borrow from the film Up, which is
Oh
why I
yeah,
read one about
love
squirrels.
Up. Love Up.
So,
I watched
squirrels.
it many times with my son. You know, when
Yeah.
you watch the endless films you have to watch. But
Yes.
it's a great film. It's a real classic. Bookshops. I love a bookshop. I think, I grew up, my dad, in a house full of books. And when my dad died, he had so many books in the house. And I remember thinking, oh, God, what are we going to do with all these books? But actually, when I suddenly realised I really missed those books, I did keep quite a few. My sister was brilliant. She was very sort of ruthless at kind of going, no, we're not going to just give them all away. But I do love books. I love the look of books. I love flicking through books. So I love a bookshop. I love any bookshop, big bookshop, independent bookshop. Love Persephone bookshop in Bath. Love it. Because I love mid-century fiction by female writers, so that's kind of my Persephone books is heaven.
Was your dad collecting something specific, or was it
he
just a
had so many
plethora?
books.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had so many books.
Different things, yes.
And the other one is butterflies, because my dad was obsessed with butterflies as a child. It was terrible. He'd catch them, torture them, and then pin them on the wall and frame them. But anyway, he did at the age of 10. He managed to sort of discover this very rare butterfly, which he then caught and he bred.
Oh, he didn't stab this one?
Yeah, he didn't stab that one, no.
Yeah.
He bred it, and he was incredible. And he was in the Times paper. He was 10, he developed, and it was called The Long-Tailed Blue.
Whoa.
So, and he was always obsessed with sort of nature and butterflies. And I've got a little butterfly wing around my neck in a little frame. So whenever I see a butterfly, I always think that's him. Because, they say signs when people... And we were celebrating, I think it was my parents, it was something to do with Dad's anniversary of him dying, and my sister was staying, and this little butterfly flew and sat on my arm, honestly, for ages. It was weird. Normally they just fly off. It just sat there, and it followed us, and then it followed us into the room where my sister was asleep, and we just said, that's Dad. Dad's there.
Yeah.
So now whenever I see them, I go, that's Dad.
That's lovely. And in animal medicine, a butterfly, I think, is transformation.
Yes, how brilliant.
That's interesting.
I'm taking that, yeah.
Have it.
I'm having it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Wonderful squirrels, if I may say so.
Yeah, thank you.
Lovely.
Thank you very much.
And I love the fact that your father wasn't all about carnage of butterflies.
It was a lot about it. I've still got some of his stabbed butterflies.
Yes. They're not going anywhere until you decide to get rid of them.
No.
Okay, so now we're on to a quirky or unusual fact about you, Rosalind Cecilia.
This
I do love your full name, by the way.
Yes, I know. It's such a ridiculously overly dramatic name, isn't it? I've got my sister's Mary Louise. My other sister's Anna Maria. My brother's Rowan, I like that. I'm Rosalind Cecilia, and my sister's Juliana Claire. But we've all been shortened. Louisa, Mia, Rowan, Rosie, Julie. Anyway, that's beside the point. Yes, so this is my special quirky fact. I can do a baby crying, okay? And then I can do a baby like about to go on the boob. Anyway, like that.
Outstanding.
It really doesn't deserve a round of applause.
Can I just congratulate you? That is, I'm not lying, that is the most awesome quirky fact I've had
bizarre.
to date.
Yeah.
I love that.
An actress taught me how to do that, an actress called Pookie Canal. Do you know Pookie Canal?
No, I don't.
She taught me how to do that because she just said she just taught me how to do it as a technique.
The only other Pookie I knew was
Yeah.
at drama school with me, and it was in Miss Saigon in the early days. And she was always very famous for lying on the floor and just farting all the time. She's big potatoes in the Far East now.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to remember where she was from,
Yeah.
but she was quite an exotic creature, but farted a lot.
Yeah, oh, right, farted.
Pookie, yeah, I'll get back to you on that one.
Pookie Quennell doesn't fart a lot, don't
Yeah.
you think? Yeah.
Lovely. So now we've shaken your tree. Hurrah!
Yes.
So now we're going to move away from the tree, and next we're talking about alchemy and gold, please. You can hold it if you like, or just look at it. So why not? So alchemy and gold is when you're at purpose and in flow, Rosie. What are you absolutely happiest doing?
Well, I suppose it's that time between action and cut, you know, because when you're filming, there's a lot of hanging around, and sometimes you'll just spend most of the day sort of waiting, and then you'll have that few seconds or minutes of it when the camera's rolling and you're doing the scene. And that's probably the best bit. And then actually listening to what Neil was saying about, I feel the same, that actually just my son laughing, making my son laugh hysterically, you know, it's great.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And now I'm going to award you with a cake, please.
Oh, yes.
So you get to hold that now
Yes,
as well.
yes.
And this is a final storytelling metaphor where you get to put a cherry on the cake. First of all, we have to talk about whether you like cake. So do you like cake?
Of course I like cake. I
And
love cake.
What cake are we going for?
Well, I've been doing that Nigella lemon and polenta lately, which is lovely. It's very easy. Yeah, why not that?
Why not a Nigella lemon polenta? Lovely. So the cake is yours. Now you get to put a cherry on the cake with the following questions. What's a favourite inspirational quote that's always given you succour and pulled you towards your future?
Well, there's sort of two, really. One was my grandpa, my uncle, who ended up being a Catholic priest. He was a brilliant pianist and organist.
Pianist and organist.
Pianist and organist.
Oh, sorry, I think it's a helist pianist.
Oh,
sorry.
no, pianist and organist.
Sorry,
and he really wanted to be, his
pianist.
dream was to be a concert pianist.
Right, yeah.
And my Lancastrian grandfather, who was a wholesale grocer, but who basically sent all his children, I don't know how he afforded it, but all to sort of private schools, and they, you know, he wanted to be a concert pianist, and he said to my grandpa, you know, and I remember the grandpa said to him, "It's the road to Nout." And when I told my nana, I remember years ago, I think I want to be an actor. She went, "Well, I always remember John saying it was the road to Nout." And it was so kind of like, it was so kind of slam, you know?
Yes.
And I remember my uncle, he didn't become a concert pianist, he became a Catholic priest. But it was great because he used to make all the parishioners pay for this very expensive organ that he would put in the church. And then he'd do lots of concerts, you know. So in his own way, he performed.
Yes.
But
lovely.
I remember thinking, no, I don't think it's the road to Nout, and I'm going to do it. But it is the road to Nout as well. I mean, they were right, because it can be the road to Nout. And the other great advice I had, was my mother was at I think it was a British council do, you know, with people coming over. It was the great late Peggy Ashcroft. I don't know if any of you remember her, brilliant actress. She was in things like Passage to India, loads of stuff, and brilliant theatre.
Yes.
Dame Peggy Ashcroft.
Yeah.
And my mum sort of was sitting at a dinner with her and said, you know, "Oh, my daughter, you know, she'd really like to go into acting. Have you got any advice?" And Peggy Ashcroft sighed and sort of went, "Oh, does she?" You know. And she went, "Well, any advice?" She said, "Well, if it's absolutely the only thing she wants to do, and there's nothing else at all, then she must do it." And I remember thinking, oh, is that the advice? But, you know, absolutely right.
Yes.
Absolutely right.
And in another parallel universe, if you weren't an actress, and thank you for being one, what might you have done?
Oh, I just don't know. This is the awful thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Therefore, it was good that you pursued the Peggy Ashcroft advice.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What notes, help, or advice might you proffer to a younger version of yourself?
Confidence. I wish I'd read Neil Malarkey's book. It is so much about confidence. I had a dream once where I bumped into myself on the street, and I went, "Ooh." And I told myself, "You've got to be more confident when you grow up." And I think, God, that was quite profound. Because I remember, actually, what I've realised as I've got older is actually everyone's blagging, aren't they? We're all blagging. Nobody has a clue what's going on. And I think I've only really just learnt that. And I think I spent so many years sort of worrying, am I good enough, you know? And it is just basic. It's just confidence. Walking into a room, you know, don't show the chinks, that's just key. And I wish I'd had more of it when I was younger, because I think I would have done a lot better.
And the irony is, even though we can tell our younger self that, we're still just winging it, and we haven't necessarily
Absolutely.
The nature of confidence is a funny old thing.
Yeah.
But fantastic advice to
Yeah.
your younger self.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So now we're ramping up to a bit of Shakespeare.
Oh, yes.
But just before we get there, if I may, pass the golden baton, please. So keep hold of the baton. Thank you. You can blow down it as well if you want to.
Oh, that's
I
pathetic.
wonder what a baby sounds doing that. It sounded the same.
Yeah, it sounded the same. There's no difference.
No, that was great. Thank you for doing that. So, pass the golden baton, please, is to keep the golden thread of the storytelling going in this construct and idea. Who would you most like to pass the golden baton on to?
Oh, well, my great friend Ed Woodall, who was at university, Manchester University as well with me, and he did English, not drama, but we did plays. And then he went off to study with Jacques Lecoq in Paris, with Toby Jones, actually. And he was a brilliant actor for many years and worked with people like Simon McBurney and all sorts of brilliant people like that, Emma Rice. And he, but then he subsequently stopped acting and for various reasons. And he now is a Feldenkrais practitioner. I don't know if any of you know Feldenkrais, but it's an awareness through movement, and you have to train to teach it. And in the pandemic, he set it up on sort of Zoom and did Zoom classes. And it's really, really helped me in so many ways. He doesn't like to use the word pain, but it's helped me with a lot of my back pain and it's a very simple exercise, and it's through small movements. So it's not about stretching or getting out of breath. Or I can't really explain it. Ed explains it brilliantly. And I just think he'd be a fantastic person because he's such a sort of varied life, and this what he does now, is interesting.
And his surname is?
Woodall.
Woodall, Ed Woodall.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I've definitely heard of him.
Yeah,
And I think he could be one of those distant Facebook
yeah, you
friends
probably
who think...
might have met him through, through work. And,
through mutual friends, yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
Cool.
Very generous and be a delight to talk to him. So now, inspired by Shakespeare and all the world has stated all the better women players. Legacy now. How, when all is said and done, Rosie, would you most like to be remembered?
I don't really mind. Just someone who is a good mate and you're someone you could talk to. That's kind of it, really.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been
Rosie.
Yes.
Shakespeare quote.
Oh, yes. An extra bonus chaser, you've come up with an actual Shakespeare quote.
Oh, I thought we had to do a Shakespeare
No, that's
quote.
great. Please do.
Oh, no, I just thought we had to. Speak the speech, I pray you, as I have pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue.
And you can even do that slower if you like.
Yes. Yeah, well, that.
A bit like, you're not going to do it like that,
I'm not going to do it like that, are you? Yeah, that one, because it's just the best note to an actor, Speak the speech, I pray you, as I have pronounced it to you, trippingly on the tongue.
And that's
which
the
means
player
light.
king from Hamlet.
It's to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern before they do the play. Yeah.
Lovely.
It's a great quote.
And thank you for putting that in as a bonus
Oh, yeah,
chaser.
I thought that's what we had to do.
No.
In my
good.
homework.
So, I know you're a bit internet shy, but where can we find out? I mean, obviously, we can definitely go and watch The Power of Parker,
Yes.
which is on tonight.
Yes, that's on the iPlayer, and I don't really have much information on them.
Which is quite good.
I came off Facebook because I just get really angsty when a show's coming out. I think, I don't want to read negative things.
So you are affected by reviews in that way, are you?
Not really, but sometimes I once was in a show and then someone started going on, I put a post on and then everyone, and I want to go, hello, I was in that, and then sort of stop.
Yes.
They don't, and then I think they forget halfway through there might be people who are...
People with feelings.
Yeah,
yes.
I am quite sensitive. I think all actors are very sensitive. All artists are sensitive, aren't they? It's just,
I
the
think
way
so.
it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that as well. So nothing specific to talk about in terms of the internet. So now, as this has been your moment in the sunshine, before we go into a bit of Q&A, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I don't think so.
I like that.
If that's enough.
Drop the mic.
I've got all my
Good
questions.
night. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to ask questions of Rosie if you'd like to. So what questions, and by the way, if you ask what questions do you have you noticed that makes you think a bit harder than any questions? You go, no, yes. So rather than getting a binary response, listen to the impact of what questions do you have? Now you're working hard. Who's got a question? Yes, thank you.
Hi. You've done a lot of radio plays.
Yes.
I think to listen to
I
a lot
love
of those and you're
radio.
in them. Which has been your best one?
Oh, I love all radio. It's such a lovely medium. You don't have to learn your lines. You don't have to. And the mic is, the mic is so sensitive. It picks everything up. So you can really... I've really learned a lot, actually, through in my acting, through working on radio. I did a really lovely series of plays called Where This Service Will Terminate, which was about, which I
was
really
brilliant.
loved.
That was funny.
Really loved. And another one
Yeah.
called Lost Property, which was by someone called Katie Hims, and Catherine Jakeways wrote. And I just recently did A Room with a View on the radio, which I loved. Yeah, so I love it. I love it.
Yeah, they're great.
Love
Thank
it.
you.
Lovely
Thank you.
question, thank you. Anybody else with a question, please? Yes, madam.
Would you like any of your youngsters to go on the stage?
No. But nowadays I kind of think, well, there's no job security in anything now. So I just think, well, why not just do it if that's what you want to do? Because I just think, you know.
As Dame Peggy Ashcroft said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's such a hard. It's not an easy. It's a really. Sorry, I can't speak. It's just a really tough business because you just get so much rejection, and I just feel like it never ends. Like I'm in my 50s now, and I still struggle. You know, I still have to do the audition. You know, and then I don't get the job, and then and then it's like, oh, I'm not going to work again, and it just never goes away. Mm. Never go. But I think even like the really famous, successful actors say exactly the same.
Yes, that never ends.
Yeah, never ends.
A spinning vortex of rejection
Yeah,
if you're not careful.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Does anybody else have any questions? Yes, thank you.
Hi, Rosie. It's really lovely to listen to you, actually. And it
thank
followed on
you.
from that question because you talked about rejection.
Yeah.
Rejection's always just around the corner. So
Yeah.
how do you pick yourself up from
Sometimes
that?
it is so hard. I did a job last year where I think it really got to me. I was up for this job and I had to go in, and it was one of those things where you have to open a vein, you know, sort of like the audition. You got to give them everything, you know. And then they come up, will you come back again? You know, you think, oh, God, right, in you go, open another vein, do it with more people. And then the waiting. And then, oh, no, we're now seeing a load of other actresses for the role. And, oh, but you're in the last 3. It's between you and 2 others. And I thought, oh, my God, I can't deal with this. And also, it was weird being back in the room because, you know, with COVID and everything, suddenly everything was just on Zoom. So it was nice to be back in the room. Anyway, I didn't get the job. And it did take me a bit of a while to sort of bounce back from that one.
And
it's weird.
there is that perpetual horror in the acting world of, you're on a pencil, love.
Yeah, you're on a
You
pencil.
think, why the fuck can't you use
and
a
I remember
marker?
crying to my agent on the phone. I was thinking, oh my God, I didn't want to be this person. I was
Yes.
crying, going, he was like thinking, oh God. But he said, oh, it's really affected you. I said, yes, it has. Because I said, it's just,
And there's
it's
the
just
other
hard.
part, the other punch side, you're on a pencil, love, oh, they've gone the other way.
yeah, oh God, that one, yeah. Yeah, no, it is really hard. It just doesn't go away. But then when you do get a good job, then you just have to really enjoy that and, you know, exactly, make the most of it.
Any more, Fred? Oh, the lovely, this one here. Yes, thank you. I'm coming up the back there in a moment. Oh, off you go.
A couple of weeks ago, there was a lot of fluff in the press with the ministers saying that we should only concentrate degrees on subjects where people get jobs. Now, clearly, from what you've said, and the previous speaker, and him, and everybody else I know who's involved in the acting profession, there aren't any. So
Yeah.
what would you say to the culture minister, particularly, to justify the fact that drama courses and other similar degrees should continue to be funded?
Well, because they're interesting and they're fun and they're and everybody should. It terrifies me that, you know, at my son's school, they do one show a year, but it's like for the whole school. There's not like this year is doing, you know, year 10 is going to do this play, or it's the whole school. That's it. They do drama and they can do drama GCSE, but it's pretty, you know, at my school, I did so many plays. I was doing plays all the time. And it worries me that, and when he was at primary school, he didn't do any drama. I mean, they didn't have anything. They didn't even go to the theatre. But I absolutely believe that we have to encourage our young people to do the arts. I mean, it's because it's brilliant, that's why.
Thank you. Final
Stimulating.
question. Back
Sorry.
Good evening, thank you. Just a question about, we've heard a lot tonight with both speakers tonight about self-confidence and developing self-confidence. How do you stop it becoming arrogance?
Well, I think you just always have to check, you know, you always have to keep a check on yourself. And somebody can usually bring you down to earth, somebody you love, someone who's close to you, can just go, shut up, you know, stop it. I I'd hate to become really arrogant like that. Those sort of actors, there aren't many of them, are there, Chris?
No, most people are totally reasonable, lovely human beings.
But there's
Yeah.
always 1% that's a dick. But they're very, very rare. They're very rare.
Yes.
They are very rare. So, I can't bear arrogant actors. There aren't many of them, though.
Wonderful. So thank you
Yeah.
very much. And also thank you very much indeed for tuning in on Facebook and YouTube as well. Thank you for being there, and you've been absolutely lovely. Just a quick announcement. I'll just flick through and show you. Squirrels! We love squirrels. There they are. There's always squirrels. The website for the show is thegoodlistening2show.com. If you'd like to be my guest too, then do have a look at the various series strands as to how you can do that. There's even a series strand within the programme which is called Legacy Life Reflections, where you can gift the construct of this, where I'll interview someone near, dear or close to you to record their story for posterity. So if that is one of the series strands as an example, you can have a look at. So have a look at the Good Listening To Show. But sincerely, thank you to my wonderful, gorgeous guest, Rosie Cavaliero. Thank you. And finally, a sincere thank you to me, as I said at the beginning, for not going on holiday or going to WOMAD. Hurrah!
Yay!
So I've been Chris Grimes. You've been wonderful. Thank you. There'll be the outro music, and then we'll finally drop the mic. And thank you for staying for such a late and sumptuous evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you for staying on for me after Neil.
Roll credits with the theme tune. You've been listening to the Good Listening To Show here on UK Health Radio with me, Chris Grimes. Oh, it's my son.
If you've enjoyed the show, then please do tune in next week to listen to more stories from the clearing.
If you'd like to connect with me on LinkedIn, then please do so. There's also a dedicated Facebook group for the show too. You can contact me about the programme, or if you'd be interested in experiencing some personal impact coaching with me, care of my Level Up Your Impact programme, that's chris@secondcurve.uk. On Twitter and Instagram, it's
@ThatChrisGrimes.
So until next time, from me, Chris Grimes, from UK Health Radio, and from Stan,
To your good health.
and goodbye.